weekend of July 4th, 2018, we got a phone call from Dad. He had been diagnosed with cancer in his lungs, hips, and his liver. From the day that Dad was diagnosed until Dad passed away, it was 7 weeks. I remember getting the phone call from Mom. She said, the doctor just left the room. She says Dad might have up to 2 weeks to live. I told my wife Kayla to stay home. I need to fly down there. Let's assess the situation, see what's going on. I flew from Roanoke, Virginia, down to Shreveport, Louisiana. That was a Wednesday. Got to the hospital at about 6:30 p.m. that Wednesday evening. Walked in the room, and there was Mom. Some friends were there. And I walked up to the bed, and Dad still knew who I was. I'll never forget the last thing he ever said to me. He took his hand, and he put it on my cheek, and he was patting my cheek like this. He says, son, I love you. I love baby girl. That's what he called Kay. He says, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud of her. That's probably the last thing that my dad ever said to me. The evening wears on. I guess about 10 o'clock, 10:30, Mom and I decided that we would stay that night in the hospital room with Dad. Mom had a recliner on one side, and they had this other little chair that folded out to a little bed, and that's where I slept. About 11:30 that night, my cell phone rang. Now, if you're calling me 11:30 at night, there's something wrong. 2 weeks before, I'm flying down to Shreveport. One of our adopted sons, me and my wife, we were never able to have children. That was an issue with me, not with her. One thing we did do is we mentored college students and also seminary students. Calling me at 11:30 at night was Stephen Papillo, one of our adopted sons, married to Sarah, 2 beautiful kids. 2 weeks before this, I was in Shreveport. Steve got a diagnosis of multiple brain tumors, cancer in his chest, and cancer in his leg. 28 years old, married, 2 kids. So here I am, laying on this bed next to my dad. Phone rings, wakes me up. I remember it's 11:30, and I said, hello. And through the phone, I can hear Steve screaming, and he is screaming, am I going to die? B, am I going to die? Why has God done this to me? And his screaming woke his wife, Sarah, up. She gets on the line. And she says, Steve, are you okay? Steve, are you okay? And I'm like, Steve, son, I love you. I get up off that little bed, and I'm standing at the foot of my dad's bed. In this bed, I have a dad who is dying from cancer. On the phone, I have an adopted son who is screaming, worried that God has abandoned him and he could die from cancer. I get Steve calmed down a little bit, and I said, Steve, there are 3 truths I need you to hear from me. No matter what happens with you, you need to build your life on these 3 truths. 1, God is sovereign. Nothing can touch you. Nothing can impact you unless it first passes through his kind, loving hands. Secondly, God is wise. I said, Steve, I know it looks like right now that your life is out of control. It looks like God has taken his hands off of you. It looks like all this doesn't make sense. But God's wise. He knows what he's doing. He knows it. 3, God is loving. And I said, Steve, no matter if you get to grow old and see grandchildren, or if you have to leave here early, Jesus loves you. And simply because you have brain tumors and cancer, it does not mean that he has stopped loving you. I talked to him, I guess, 30 minutes. Hung up the phone. I laid back down. At 1:30 in the morning, I woke up. And I remember, now, I had just hung up the phone with Steve, so this is 90 minutes later. I woke up at 1:30, and I laid there, and I didn't hear Dad breathing. And I laid there for like 30 seconds. I listened. I remember praying, God, let me hear him breathe. And I did. Got out of bed. I looked at Dad. And I woke Mom up. I said, Mom, Dad's gone. Here's what's amazing to me in all this. Last thing my dad ever heard on this earth was me preach a mini sermon to one of our sons that God is sovereign, God is wise, and God is loving. 90 minutes after I told Steve that, my dad was gone. Why did God have Steve call at 11:30 at night? Why was Steve wrestling with anxiety? I think so it could be the last thing that my dad ever heard. I think that's grace. I think that's mercy. I also think it's pretty beautiful. Before you leave this world, you need to embrace those same truths. That God's sovereign, he's wise, and he is loving. So yes, you need to build your life on those 3 truths. I need to give you an update. My dad is completely healed. My dad knew Jesus and Jesus knew him. My dad's in heaven. He no longer has to worry about breathing, no longer has to worry about his back pain, no longer has to worry about his arthritis, no longer has to worry about his cancer. Second, Steve Papillo, our adopted son, he's back practicing medicine. His tumors are gone. His cancer is gone. His kids are as beautiful as ever. His wife, Sarah, is just as patient as she's ever been. God was faithful in both instances. He healed both. And in both of those instances, he was sovereign, he was wise, and he was loving.